What's up guys, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the third studio album by UK indie rock group Florence and the Machine. This new one is titled How Big, How Beautiful, How Blue. Florence and the Machine are an indie rock group that formed in the early 2000s and dropped a couple of well-received albums in the form of Lungs and Ceremonials, the latter of those being probably my favorite of the two, over time at least. It maybe rotates back and forth, and not to say that I've spent a ton of time listening to their discography, because I have not, and not to say that those albums are forgettable. It's just not something that I felt like totally grabbed me. I was never head over heels for either record. Florence Welch has a voice like none other in the world of pop today, with her vocals ranging everywhere from highly emotive to much more vulnerable and personable to commanding, all while still coming across very powerful. The music that supports her voice can sometimes kind of fall into flat, kind of almost baroque pop territory sometimes though, which is quite unfortunate, with a few of the deep cuts from each respective album feeling a bit too, I don't know, art pop-ish for my taste. With this being said, you're probably wondering how I'm feeling about this new album, How Big, How Beautiful, How Blue. Well, Florence fans can rest easy because she has delivered, along with her band, a fantastic new record with a lot of shimmering cuts to really sink your teeth into. For starters, the lyrical themes and the musical stylings here on this record all kind of fall under a similar roof, meaning that even though these tracks definitely do vary in their energies and pacings, it still feels like they're connected to a similar vein, which makes this new album feel like an album. I'm really impressed with the musical arrangements on a good chunk of these tunes here, like the pumping bass line on the fervent opener, Ship to Wreck, or the horns and brass that find a home on the soaring title track. The album opens up with a blast of energy on the very memorable track, Ship to Wreck, showcasing a fucking brilliant hook and instrumental, and then the single What Kind of Man, which is easily one of my favorite tracks of this year so far. What Kind of Man succeeds not only as a big and memorable song, but as an anthem of sorts. It really feels like Florence is kind of taking back her confidence, taking back her voice as a strong woman right here on this tune. She sings this line that really sticks with me: "To let me dangle at cruel angles so my feet won't touch the floor." It's kind of seemingly referring to a lover that won't commit one way or the other, but it keeps dangling the Twinkie in front of her, keeping her running on that treadmill to keep him running back to her at all times. Cut the ties, lose the dude, win the song. This is easily a highlight on this album. The title track, How Big, How Beautiful, How Blue, has this eerie quality about it with a wonderful enveloping feel that continuously builds and drowns the listener in its sound. I had my doubts about this tune whenever I listened to the preview, but damn if I wasn't totally and completely wrong. The guitars blend so smoothly with the brass and the horns on this track, which is what I feel is the perfect mix, and not only mix in terms of these instruments blending together quite well, but in terms of the actual mixing on this record. The instrumentals do often pack a significant blow, but never to the point where they don't allow Florence's voice to ultimately guide these tunes. It's only right that her voice be the guiding light here on this record, with the majority of this being a much more personal affair. There were clearly some hardships for Florence over the past couple of years, and while not all of these tunes are particularly engaging lyrically or musically, such as various Storms and Saints, and of course St. Jude, which falls near the end of this record, it is still pretty interesting to see how she's grown as a songwriter. I don't know why, but whenever I went into this record, I was expecting something a little bit more somber and brooding, and I'm honestly glad that those aren't the results that we got here on this album. Not saying that some of these cuts, like the moderately uninteresting St. Jude and the slow building Long and Lost, don't lie under that umbrella. It's just that a modest amount of this album sells itself as something much more energetic and vibrant, with some of these cuts having lush instrumental layers that are an absolute blast to listen to. I cannot say enough good things about the closing track on the standard edition of this album, Mother, which is my personal favorite. The guitar and rhythm in the verses of the song remind me ever so slightly of a track that I love from a French band called Air, before breaking into a tidal wave of a chorus that's really just riveting. The drumming on the record is much more impressive here than at any other point in the record, pounding away and really solidifying what was already turning into a phenomenal instrumental. Third Eye follows shortly before the track Mother and features some of Welch's strongest vocals on the entire album. They kind of flow and intertwine with a notably solid set of backing vocals here on the track that really aid with this sound that just feels glossy overall. I wouldn't complain if the track was a little bit shorter, as I feel it does get a little bit too repetitive towards the end of the track, but I still really dig this tune. I absolutely love the little refrain that Welch does towards the end of this track, where she sings the line, I'm the same, I'm trying to change." Easily one of the most rewarding parts of this entire album for me, one of my favorite parts, all in all. The track Delilah feels like it almost wears a little smirk throughout its entire run, and I kind of love that. It's got a nice building and brooding feel to it, very unique, and I also cannot go without mentioning one of my favorite tracks on this LP, Queen of Peace. The chorus is particularly rousing here, calling on an array of instruments to really help lift up Welsh's towering vocals. Once again, this track is a little bit longer, clocking in at over 5 minutes, but this is one of the ones that actually gripped me the entire listen. I'm very happy with Florence and the Machine's new record overall. There's a few tracks that I feel are a little bit more forgettable, but there's so much good material here to really dig into that I can almost overlook that. I definitely plan on coming back to this album. How Big, How Beautiful, How Blue gets a 4 out of 5 from me. So if you've heard the new Florence and the Machine record, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section down below, and don't forget to smash that like button while you're at it. Maybe subscribe to the channel, because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. If there's other albums you'd like to see me cover, like maybe the Muse album, which of course you know I'm going to cover that, anything else really, I might try and get to it. Sorry for the lighting in this video, I'm still kind of working out the kinks. I don't really know what I'm doing all that much, so I'm just kind of playing around with it until I get my lighting kit put in the right place. Thanks for watching, and I will see you very soon, right here on ARTV.